Humble Narcissist Podcast, episode 10.
Yeah, episode 10.
Woot. Today, before we get to the topic, which we're going to be discussing one of our favorite game series of all time, Final Fantasy. Let's start out with, what have you been up to?
Like usual, absolutely nothing.
I'm going to stop asking you.
Pretty much.
Soon we're just going to dive right into the topic because your answer's always nothing.
I mean, it's the truth. I just sat there at home.
I've pretty much just been playing video games. That's all I've been up to. Just the same old, playing Final Fantasy 11 and things like that. I started streaming the Grand Blue Fantasy demo, and I'm excited for it.
I am too. Because I thought it was going to be like a fighting game, kind of like the others.
Right. But no, it's definitely an action RPG. And then you can, from what my understanding, you can do missions and do online missions with people.
Nice.
So like if you were at home, you and I could do missions together, which I think would be fun.
Can we do that since we're not friends on PlayStation?
I'll re-add you.
We'll get into that one.
Well. I'll re-add you, Dillon. But yeah, so I think that it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I weirdly am good with some character that looks like a little girl named Charlotte. I wish.
So does it kind of look like Genshin Impact?
It does kind of look like Genshin Impact, except I think that this one has like better graphics. Like
okay,
Genshin
so it's not like a gat. Sounds fun.
I think that you'll probably end up liking the little mage girl.
Why?
Because you always play the little like gay mage characters.
Not always, just sometimes. Since
we're talking about video games, we are going to start talking about Final Fantasy.
I've played almost all of them.
Almost all of them?
Beaten maybe 2. No, I've beaten more than that.
Well, it's a good thing that all you have to do today, Dillon, is give your opinions on them and what your thoughts were.
Well, the first one was terrible.
You didn't like the first one at all?
No.
I enjoyed the first one because... up to where I got it, because I actually didn't beat that one either. I enjoyed playing like the black mage and the white mage. I always did the group of black mage, white mage, monk, and warrior. Which
the basic stuff, yeah.
The basic stuff. I never got to the class unlock, but I do know that Strangers of Paradise is like a redo of the first one. So I can only imagine that the whole game is just saying, "Where's Chaos?"
Yeah, I can see that.
Because that's all he does. And then, like, the fighting style in Strangers of Paradise, which is remake of 1, I wasn't a fan of.
Because it was terrible.
It was.
I like that they added all these different jobs, but they all played the same.
They did all play the same.
And the gear was all the same. It was just kind of meh.
Yeah, and then with 1, I got, like... the original 1, I got to the point where you get the ship and like you're going all around, but I could never figure out what to do after I got the ship. So that
you should have read it better.
I'm sure I could play it again and use like a guide that would tell me what to do.
Yeah.
But 1, I'm sorry, viewers, I don't really have strong feelings towards it or against it because I didn't really. It was just terrible. Well, Dillon has strong feelings towards it, but I didn't really get into it. I couldn't either, so like I'm not the biggest supporter of that one. So then in that case,
now we have 2,
which you have never played.
Never played.
So Final Fantasy 2.
What's the premise?
Well, you have the orphans. All of them, I think,
they're all orphans.
But they join like the rebel cause to take out the Empire, which is the Emperor. And it's basically the story of how they take out the Emperor and save the world.
Sounds like Star Wars.
It kind of is like Star Wars. I didn't get too far into that one either because of the fact that I kept getting annoyed because if you would exit town and go like a little too far south, you would instantly run into these bombs that would just one-shot you. And I was like, how am I supposed to get through this?
I only know of the characters through Final Fantasy Dissidia. Because, like, Furion's the main dude, right?
Yeah, Furion's the main dude.
And then you have Maria.
Maria is his friend, also an orphan. Leon, I think,
right?
He's just the Dark Knight. He's the Dark Knight.
You have Guy.
Guy is his other orphan friend. So it's just orphans running around being orphans.
Where's little orphan Annie? A little ginger with a knife.
So I don't really have strong feelings towards that one either, but
I have played 3 though. Do you not remember 3?
No, I'm making this face because my dog is barking, so I'm waiting for him to stop.
Well, Buddy didn't like Final Fantasy 2.
My dog did not like Final Fantasy 2, but Final Fantasy 3, that was a big one for the series because it started like all of the multiple jobs.
Yeah, the multiple job classes.
Because like 1 had just like the original 6, but then 3 came out with a bunch of different ones. Like that's where I believe one of your favorites, Geomancer, started.
Geomancer is fun.
3 is also about 4 orphans.
Shocker.
The crystal, which is like their gods, choose them to.
Which game didn't have orphans?
I think. Are we talking about not orphans like throughout the whole game, or just like center around the orphans?
No, in general, which game didn't have orphans?
I think they all had orphans.
Rydia.
Rydia, we'll get to her. But 3 was true.
Terra.
Okay, Dillon. I'm talking about the whole cast is orphans.
I'm just saying there's always widows and orphans. Ask Erica.
Jane?
Yeah.
But 3 was fun. I enjoyed that one. My favorite job.
I was going to ask what your favorite job was.
Well, of course, it was Summoner because that was the first one where Summoner came into it.
I thought Summoner was in some of the others.
3 was the very first one to have Summoner. You started out with Evoker, where they could either do a support move or a damage move, but then once you upgraded to Summoner, it was always just their damage move.
Okay.
But it also has one of my favorite healing classes, the Devout, which look like they're the ones with the little cat hoodie, which I would love. One of the Devout hoodies.
Just have one of your Somalian orphans knit you one.
I do not have control over Somalian orphans. Don't start that rumor, especially if one day this takes off. I don't need people thinking that I have orphans at my disposal to do child labor.
It's called ... Smile.
That was my sister Christian. Sister Christian used to sell sweatshop dresses. I don't care what anybody says. ... Smile is sweatshop dresses. And you know what? Now that we're on the topic, I'm going to pitch my I think that this would have sold a lot of dresses for her if she went the comedy route because she couldn't sell dresses. I said she should have put her little girl, her daughter, in a corner on a sewing machine during their ... Smile lives trying to sell dresses.
Yeah, like
and
have her like soot on her face to
and act like dirty. She's making the dresses and be like, for every dress sold, $1 goes to her college fund. There are some Karens out there that would have bought those dresses. But anyway, back to Final Fantasy 3. You are the 4 orphans, and then you have to save the world. You end up like, it's just like a fragment of the world.
You're the Warriors of Light.
You are the Warriors of Light. All of them, you end up being the Warriors of Light.
So which one did you like better? Did you like the remake version of it, where they actually had names? Or the original version where they were just randos?
I liked
with no character.
The remake to it, and my reasoning for it is the original one, there wasn't like a girl or guy character, so they were all just like non-gender.
So it's just like you.
Yeah. So I wanted the girl character so that like I could make her be like, this is going to sound bad, like the manly jobs.
Like the monk.
Yeah, I made her monk. I made her the Viking. But like they had to save the world.
Her a strong, independent female.
She was a strong, independent female, and Refia was her name. But you have to kill the Cloud of Darkness. That's the final boss. Did you ever beat 3?
No.
Wow. I remember my final boss fight in 3 because it was Cloud of Darkness, and I went in with a Dark Knight, a Dragoon, Summoner, and the Devout. And every turn, she killed the Dark Knight and the Dragoon, and I was like, crap! So then I ended up winning, though, just with the Summoner and the Devout, because the Devout I would have just spamming Kiraga, and the Summoner would keep doing Bahamut and Leviathan till she died.
See, the reason I haven't beaten 3 is because I'm playing with Final Fantasy in my own life, where the final boss is my ADHD. And I'm just a bard.
You're so dumb. 3 was a lot of fun for me. I had a good time with it.
I did beat 4, though.
You did beat 4?
I did.
Well, let's talk about 4.
So, I think my biggest issue with 4 is how the characters just leave whenever, and then you don't even have the full cast of characters at the end.
I agree with that, because that is the biggest con when it comes to 4.
Exactly.
As soon as you level somebody up and you get attached to them,
then they're gone.
Like the twins. Soon as you spend all that time to level them up, the next thing you know, they're gone.
Exactly.
You can't
they become
use them
statues.
anymore.
But then they are
Come
not
back
statues.
in the very end.
Exactly. Just to like, you don't even get to control.
The only one that I'm okay that they left was Edward.
Oh, I liked Edward. He had his
Sucked.
Yes, but he was just a bard.
He was a spoony bard. Just like how Tella would call him the spoony bard the whole time. I hated Edward. But the story was really good because you
just liked how they killed Rydia's mom.
I did. I was getting to that. That story is about well, yeah, they are orphans, aren't they, Cecil? Anyway, the 3 main people are orphans. Cain, Cecil, and Rosa. They were all orphans. Mm-hmm. But Cain is the leader of the dragoons.
And then you made Rydia an orphan.
Cecil is the leader of the Red Wings or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then they have to go through the Mist Cave and deliver this ring, which turned out it was the bomb ring, which killed Rydia's mother.
Yep.
God.
And then Cecil had his own Sailor Moon transformation.
Transformed from a Dark Knight to a Paladin.
Yep. Sailor Moon.
Kind of like Michael Jackson, going from dark to light, right?
You know, I liked Yang to an extent. He was okay.
I liked Yang.
Tella was okay.
Tella was...
But, like, my main person was Rydia.
But you had to stop them from getting the crystals, which your people fail because they get all the crystals, and then you go on a whale and travel to the moon.
I know, I went to the moon. I actually beat this one.
I know.
And I'm so proud of myself because it doesn't happen often.
And then, like, they came out with the After Years, which I played that for a little bit.
I never played the After Years.
You never played the After Years?
No.
I played it on my phone because the one for, like, the PlayStation and computer, it was, like, the old graphics, and I preferred the remake of it.
The new graphics?
Yeah, so I never beat that. But
I guess Rydia makes an appearance.
They all do. You can play all
really?
of them. Mm-hmm. And then like you see what happened to them because like Rosa and Cecil end up getting married, and then they have Theodore, who is also a paladin, and you actually have the whole cast of people to choose from.
Oh, nice.
Which it was nice. But 4 was fun. You had Rydia as the summoner, and she was Baller.
Who was the villain in 4 again?
Golbez up until...
Golbez, and then the dude with the moo-moo. What's his name?
Are you talking about Fusayusa or Fusa?
Maybe
the
fire
guy.
Dude? Yes.
No, you're.
No.
Oh, what?
You know who I'm talking about?
No, that wasn't his name.
Because it's like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse or whatever their version.
I don't remember his name.
But he had a moo-moo.
He was the red guy in the moo-moo. Rubicante. That was it. He was in a moo-moo. I agree with that. He was in a moo-moo. God. But it was a good game. Like,
What was one thing you hated about it?
The same thing as you. As soon as you get attached to a character, they would die.
Yes.
Do you think that I wanted freaking Cecil and Cain in my final group? No. I would have kicked Cain out.
I used Rydia. You
didn't have
Edge.
A choice to use.
I'm trying to think who my final group. It wasn't Cecil and Cain, was it?
The final group for 4, you had Rosa, Cecil, Cain, Rydia, and Edge.
Yeah,
that was the final group. You didn't have a choice.
Yeah, but you got to choose who you battle, or did you have all of them in battle? I forget. I thought you could only have 4.
No, that one you could do 5.
Oh, okay.
So you had all of them, but
it's so stupid.
Yeah, I would have rather have some of the other people,
like Edward. Just hide.
I would have. No wonder you like him. That's what you would do in a battle. You would just hide like a wimp.
No.
Anyways, moving on.
Number 5.
God, we're tearing through these.
Well, there's like 20 of them, so we got time.
5. That was one. I love 5. That one has Bart.
Another one with the widows and orphans.
Shut up, Dillon.
But yeah, it has Bart and then the princess, Lena.
You gotta fight an evil tree god.
And then you have a dude pirate who becomes a girl pirate.
So it was very progressive.
Very.
Gender fluid, man.
Then you had an old man. Then you had his granddaughter.
Which she got all of his abilities. It was Galuf and Kryl.
Mm-hmm.
But 5's story is basically, again, somebody's trying to take
4
all the
heroes
crystals.
of light.
4 heroes of light. They were trying to take the crystals. You're the warriors of light.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to stop an evil tree god.
Well, the original 4 heroes in that one were Bart's dad, the werewolf dude, Lena's dad, like their dad, right? And then some rando dude, right? Galuf. It was Galuf.
Yeah, Galuf is one of them.
He was the rando.
I mean, kinda. He comes back and he becomes the warrior of light again. But that one starts out where Bart's is just hanging out with his chocobo, Boko.
Yeah.
And then
Gilgamesh is the bad guy in that one, isn't it?
He's one of them. He's teamed up with X-Death.
Oh, yeah, that's
X-Death
right.
is the evil tree god. He's literally a tree. There's a part in the game. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So that one starts where he has to go to the wind stops because the wind crystal busts, and him, Lena, and Galuf go figure out what's going on, along with Ferris, who they think a dude pirate, but turns out is a girl pirate,
who turns out to be a princess,
who turns out to be Lena's long lost sister.
Brother sister.
And then you have so they go to the wind crystal and find out that it was busted, and that's where they become the warriors of the light, and then they have to go on the journey to save the crystals, and then that's when they fight the evil tree.
I like that they get jobs.
They do get jobs. So the job system returns, which was fabulous, because they even added new ones. Like one of my favorites was Dancer.
Yeah, I like Blue Mage.
Blue Mage was fun. I also really enjoyed the Beastmaster in it.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of jobs. Like you get Summoner, you get the basics.
You get all of the returning ones for sure. But then you end up
Samurai, Ninja.
Samurai, that was a new one.
Yeah, Samurai was a new one.
Ninja wasn't. Ninja was in 3. But
there's like 20 something jobs there.
Yeah, one of my favorite moments from 5 though is when I think it's Kryl or Galuf. Somebody has a splinter.
Okay.
And they're like, "Oh, I have this killer splinter," and it turns out that it's X-Death. And that's how he comes back to life. Yes.
As you can tell, I haven't beat this one.
So you haven't beat 5 either, but
no.
So that's one of the first things that happens when they meet like actual X-Death is that someone gets a splinter, and then there's a scene where he just sprouts from the splinter because he's a tree.
So where I left off in 5 was in that forest after I think they jumped through the comet, and like Ferris and Lena get
just
carried
got
off
to the second world.
Yes. So
you were getting close to the splinter scene.
So I'm like halfway through the game, right? No. As you can tell, my ADD succeeded.
I would say that you're about 1/4 of the way through that game.
Yay.
So you should know a lot about it, I guess.
That's progress.
God, you're sitting here giving all this commentary and you haven't even beat them.
I can't help it. I know what happens.
Well, they win in the end. They always win.
I know. Not Galuf. Galuf didn't win.
Spoilers. He dies and his granddaughter Kryl takes over. Introduces my favorite job in the whole series, which is Mime, which you never got that, did you?
No.
So in order to get Mime, you have to, like, where the wind tower went down and it's the water tower, where the water tower sinks because there were 2 crystals that were left when it sank.
Yeah, because
you find one later, and then this one is Mime, and you get it by swimming down there, and you're on a time limit, and you have to fight Go-Go, the master Mime. And the way that you beat him is you literally just sit there.
Wow.
You do nothing. So then he's like, "Wow, you're so good that you're mimicking what I'm doing. Nothing. Here you go." And he gives you the job. But Mime is my favorite. So Yes, I beat that one.
You've beaten pretty much most of them, haven't you?
I've beaten all but 1 and 2. So let's move on to
number 6. 6 is one of my favorites.
6, I will argue, has the best villain, and that's because he actually succeeded in what he wanted to do by destroying the world.
I just love that he poisoned the water.
Oh, we'll get there. So 6 is about
orphans.
Yeah, it is. It has orphans. You start out as Terra, who is being controlled by the Empire, like Star Wars.
Just because she's a female, she didn't know what to do.
It's because she's an Esper, which is like the gods in that. So she is half Esper, so they took Kefka, the villain of the game, took control over her and made her attack the village. So then you end up it's about trying to overthrow the Empire, which eventually turns into let's save the world.
Yeah.
Which is it was a lot of fun. That game I truly enjoyed.
There wasn't really a job system in this one. It was more...
No. You get the summons, and the summons teach you the magic and stuff,
Yes.
but each character has their own type of like fighting style. Like Sabin, for example, when you get him, it's similar to Street Fighter. You have to do like combos. And
whereas Celis can use magic and physical.
Well, Celis absorbs magic attacks. That's her specialty that she does that other people don't. But one of my favorite characters that comes in way later, and I'm skipping ahead, is Go-Go, which is the mime, and you can actually set him up.
So Go-Go's in 5 and 6?
5, he's the villain. 6, you find him in the Zone Eater.
Okay.
I thought you beat 6.
No.
Oh my God.
I told you.
So Go-Go, what makes him so cool, because he's a mime, is that you can pick whose moves he does. So like if you want him to do Sabin's combos, you can have him do Sabin's combos.
So 5 and 6 are in the same world? Or...
No.
Okay, so this is just another random Go-Go?
It's just a random person named Go-Go.
Oh.
But
very creative.
Well, they always reuse the same stuff. Look at Sid. You have Sid in every single Final Fantasy.
But that's a staple. You don't have a Go-Go in every single Final Fantasy.
You have it in 5 and 6, and I'm sure probably somewhere in the online ones.
Sure.
Whatever.
Sure they do.
14 for sure.
Probably.
Because they just take everything from the other games for that one. But anyway, so they're trying to overthrow the Empire, and they meet some fun people along the way. You got
Locke. The Empire, they're trying to they're taking the Espers to suck all the magicite out, which is sad.
That's also kind of what you do on Friday nights, isn't it? You just want to suck all it out. But you got Locke. What's
Locke
Edgar?
Was like a thief.
Locke was the thief.
I liked Edgar.
And he was the king of the desert city. I don't remember the name of it.
I think it starts with an F.
I don't know. But then you get like Celis, who's the knight. You get Gao, who's kind of like a blue mage, but not, because he does the monster, like all the monster moves.
So like he's a blue mage, but he's not really.
You get the actual blue mage, which is Strago, which is an old man.
Oh, Strago's a blue mage? I didn't know that. I never got him.
Oh my God. You get Realm. She paints monsters. That's her big thing. And she later on, if you get the items, you can get her to control monsters. And then you can get her to do like White Wind and stuff on Strago so that he can learn that. God, you never even got Realm.
No. I'm sorry. I'm such a failure.
I mean, that kind of is a fail.
I'm slowly getting back into it. I have it on my Switch. So I just play it. I just have to get into the mood.
Dillon's absolute favorite scene in the whole game, which is arguably also my favorite, is when you meet Cyan, the samurai, and you're at his castle, and you get this scene where Kefka's arguing with General Leo, the leader of the army of the Empire, because he wants to wage like a somewhat
civil war,
no craziness. Kefka, on the other hand, my guy, is like
has other ideas.
He poisons their entire water supply.
But you don't really find out till you have to run through the Phantom Forest, and then you see the Duke train.
Before. Because
oh yeah, that's right.
He walks over to the river after he's done talking to Leo, and he's like, yeah, F this. Poisons the water supply. And then it cuts to the castle, and it shows you everybody dying. So
that's right, because Signet runs up to his room, and his wife and his kid are both dead.
So then when you get to the Doom Train, and you're on there, it like once you beat the Doom Train with Cyan and Sabin and Shadow, you get to the point, well, Shadow's still with you because he can leave you at any time.
I always kept him with me.
No, like he just leaves.
I know. I saved the game, and if he tries to leave, I restart. I have abandonment issues.
That's weird. But so when they get off of the train, he sees his wife and son getting like on the train because they're dead. So then you get this sad scene where like he's chasing after the train like, no, come back, and they're like, no, Cyan, you go on without us.
Yeah, it's like one of those dramatic movie scenes where the train is leaving and you have the family on there, and then the one dude is chasing after it.
You get Setzer when you have to do that obnoxious opera scene, which Dillon, I think, enjoyed the opera scene.
You know what side bad guy I like, though? This has to do with the opera scene. Ultros. Because you have to fight him. He's this big-ass purple octopus that's in an opera building.
But he, like... Ultros is good, but the problem is that he wants to, like, bone people, the ladies, because he always says really inappropriate things about the girls, like how hot they are and stuff.
And he is a purple octopus.
Yeah, and then you run into him in the river.
That's the first time you meet him.
Right, when you all get split up, and then he shows up in the opera house where he's trying to take off with the normal actress who's not Celis, but he ends up wanting to take off with Celis, then you got to fight him there because he wants to take her and like.
But then Setzer takes Celis.
And then Setzer takes her, and he is a gambler, which I enjoy him. He has the airship. That's how you get that.
Yeah. But not long after you like crash it. You
crash it, and then you end up getting, when the world gets destroyed, you end up having to go and get his new ship, which is
Fabule. Is that what? No.
Fabule, yeah.
Fabule,
that's Edgar's. Wow. So you couldn't think of it before, but when you're not even really trying, it comes into your head.
But I still don't have Realm.
I know. You literally decided to pull up your game and show me that you don't have Realm.
Exactly. Even though at this moment I only have Locke and Terra. Because apparently you split up.
Good job, Dillon. But you have you have to go, like, when the world's destroyed, he goes into the tomb of, like, some woman that he was in love with.
Okay.
And he ends up getting her ship, so that becomes your second ship.
Who is this?
It sets her story.
Oh, okay.
One of the things that I really like about 6 that I think that they did really well on is that each character
has their own story.
Has their own story. It builds on each other, and so you get to see, like, what each person is really about.
Exactly.
Which is...
And that's how, because in the beginning, starting with like Final Fantasy 1, they didn't really have characterization.
No.
It was all generic.
But then, like, with 6, the character development's so good. I feel like we're missing that in a lot of games these days. Like, there's one character that they focus on and the other ones don't even really matter. Like, it doesn't matter what they're doing.
My playthrough on Pokemon, it's always the first Pokemon that is the strongest.
That's true. Every time he'd play Pokemon, his whole team would be like, the starter would be like 80 and the others would be like 30 to 40.
Not the newer ones. Because
the EXP share is different. I'm replaying Pokemon Heart Gold and I'm realizing how terrible it is to level back in the day. But 6, I enjoyed. I loved that Kefka got what he wanted. He destroyed the world, even though, of course, he loses in the end because the bad guy always loses. But he still did exactly what he set out to do. He destroyed the world.
Yeah.
And Celis, there was that scene where after the world's destroyed and she's left all on her own, she tries to unalive herself because of how devastated she is, and she feels like she failed. But little secret, since you didn't get to it yet, when you're on the floating continent, when it's about to be destroyed, when Kefka's destroying the world, wait until like the last minute to get on the ship because Shadow joins you permanently.
Oh, nice.
Otherwise you can't get him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez, thanks for the spoilers.
You're welcome. That's a good spoiler.
Honestly, I don't care about spoilers. I always Google it anyways.
We're going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to continue to probe Dillon on questions about where he actually got to on the games. And then...
I know, I'm going to have to pull up my Switch just to show him proof.
We will continue the discussion and start with 7. And we're
back.
We're back.
All right, Final Fantasy VII. This is a lot to unpack.
Final Fantasy VII is
like
a lot.
4 discs worth.
4 discs. This is actually the very first game I ever played, which means that it holds a very special spot in my heart. Dillon, thoughts?
Well, it wasn't my first Final Fantasy, so it doesn't hold as much like passion in my heart that it does you.
Let's start with the beginning. So you start out in Midgar. You're Cloud. You're a mercenary.
You didn't even let me finish.
Well, what were you going to say?
I was going to say I do like it.
That was it?
Yes.
You're upset that I interrupted. I like it.
Yes. I was going to say something else, but I forgot.
You start out as Cloud. He is a mercenary. He is working with Avalanche, a terrorist organization, which
was... Avalanche has some of the thirstiest people there.
Well, Avalanche is also like eco-terrorists. So, like, they're trying to save the world from global warming. So... You know.
Right side, these are some eco-friendly orphans.
Correction. These ones, Cloud is not an orphan. His mom is in it. Tifa wasn't an orphan because you see her family. Barrett wasn't an orphan. Well, I don't know. I'm going to say that he wasn't an orphan.
You know who was an orphan? Marlene.
Marlene was an orphan. But anyway, Cloud...
She's like a side character.
Cloud joins Avalanche, which has his childhood friend Tifa, and he's helping them take down the Shinra Electric Company, who is absorbing a lot of Mako energy so that they can run power and things like that. So, yeah. So...
I don't get everyone's like love for Cloud. I always thought he was just overrated.
I feel the same way. He's one noted. He's just like, oh, I'm dark and
just like any of the protagonists are.
A lot of them have no personality. And
like Terra.
Cloud's personality came from his friend Zack, who you find out he...
Isn't Cloud like a clone of Zack or something?
No, he's not a clone of him, but they were in like these Mako things together, and Cloud, like, I think he had Mako poisoning.
Multiverse.
And he ended up like absorbing Zack's memories and traits and all that stuff, which you find out later on that Tifa knows that Cloud wasn't like the first class soldier, and she just stayed quiet about it.
Any good friend, she stayed quiet.
She didn't tell him the truth, but he meets Aerith, who she actually dated Zack, and she knows something's up, and like she knows that he's not really.
But she has a thing for Cloud.
She has a thing for Cloud because he's acting just like Zack, I think. I don't think that she really liked him like that. She just wanted her old guy back.
You know, if they used a Phoenix down, maybe she would know.
Oh God, that is a great scene. But then they end up Aerith gets taken. I keep wanting to say Eris because there was a mistranslation in the original, because instead of Aerith, it was Eris. But she ends up getting taken because she's an ancient and she can take people to the promised land. So they have to storm the Shinra Electric Company's headquarters to go get her back, where you meet Hojo, who is messed up
scientist.
He tries to get her to like reproduce with a lion, which is Red. And you get him on your team.
Because that makes sense.
Oh yeah, because they're both endangered species, so he wanted them to mate so that they can both their species would go on.
She's like, no.
She's like,
I don't do animals.
And Red is just like playing along. He's like, okay, Red.
She's like, I'm more of a cat person.
I mean, technically he is in the cat family.
I thought he'd be more of a dog.
No, he's like a lion.
Fine, maybe she's a dog person.
But
she could go for a Labrador.
They get get out of Midgar and they realize that the world is in worse shape than they thought. They end up joining forces with like Yuffie, who is my all-time favorite. She's a ninja.
I do like Yuffie.
She steals everybody's shit at one point in the game, so a lot of people don't like her, but I love that little side quest.
Well, yeah, you got to. It's great.
She teaches you how to fight without materia. I'm yawning. Okay, I'm good.
You go to what? Is it Mount Coral? Is that where? No, it's Cosmo Canyon.
That's where Red's from. But you also get Kate Sith along the way, who's freaking adorable. It's a kitty cat riding a big Moogle.
But he's a robot.
He is a robot. You find out that later on. And then, so you learn that the world is going to be destroyed because of all the Mako energy that's being taken out. So your characters are out to like try to save it. But
you know what area I didn't like? The snow area. I always got lost.
On the mountain?
Yes.
Well, on the mountain, so we're jumping ahead. But Sephiroth, so let's talk about that real quick.
True.
He summons Meteor to come down and destroy the planet, so your party has to come together to like try to stop him. So then they end up on Mount, it's not Coral, is it? I want to say Gagazet, but that's it. They end up on the mountain, but when you're on there, Dillon, that's how you get Alexander.
Yeah, I know. I got Alexander.
So then how did you get lost? Because you got to know where you are.
Because I kept going in circles.
Well, level up. Level your pussy up.
Until I just like died from exhaustion.
And then you end up at that guy's house.
Yes.
Yes, because you have to go dip your hands in the hot springs and then go touch the ice witch. And she's like, ah! Then you got to kill the ice witch. And then she drops Alexander.
Yeah.
But
I actually got that far. I'm to the point where I can do chocobo breeding.
All the inbreeding with chocobos.
Yes.
Chocobo breeding, that is a big part of the game. So let's talk about that. Let's unpack.
Well, I stopped.
Well,
I'll go back.
You have to catch 2 chocobos, a wonderful and a great, and then you have to mate them together and give them a certain type of nut to like make them want to bang, and then they will make
so they can get the other kind of nut.
Yep. So then you get a blue or green, and then or red, and you have to fuse them together. I forget the steps that you have to go through, but you eventually have to get a blue, a green, a red, and then you can get a black chocobo, and then you can get a gold chocobo. But you also have to race them. But then you have to have like aunts and uncles banging each other so that they can.
It sounds exhausting.
It's very exhausting and time consuming. Have you fought any of the weapons on there, like the ancient weapons?
No. I'm at the chocobo breeding part where Cloud's not my party.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you're trying to do it a little prematurely. I usually wait until he's back and then I do all the chocobo breeding. But I love 7. You end up going down into the crater and you gotta kill Sephiroth in order to save the planet.
Well, you didn't even talk about what happens to Aerith.
Well, Aerith is stupid, so I don't want to talk about her. She's like, let's go after this guy all on my own. And then she gets killed for it, and I think she gets what she deserves.
And they get
controversial subject.
Her. They have the magic of life and revive.
But they won't do it for her. They just throw her dead body in the pond and move on.
Sounds about right. I mean, I can get behind
I think
that one.
It's because she was dumb and she went off on her own. She should not have gone off on her own to go sit in an altar and pray.
I did get all her limits, though.
Well, yeah, she summons the angels with great gospel. She prays, which you're like, oh, I don't know if it really worked or not. You don't know if it works until the very end. Spoiler alert, Dillon, it worked. So she takes over the life stream with her spirit, so it's a good thing they didn't revive her.
Yeah. Or else how could she have been an Advent children?
Yeah, and she stops Sephiroth with her holy magic. Don't touch her Jesus juice.
But yeah, so my go-tos have always been like Tifa, Red, and Kate Sith. And Yuffie.
I always use Yuffie and swap out Tifa and Kate Sith.
Cause I wasn't a fan of Red. No, not Red. I like Red. I wasn't a fan of Vincent, who wears red.
Vincent, I didn't care for his limits. So Vincent is like the vampire dude, and he just turns into monsters.
He could be Sephiroth's daddy.
He could have been, but his woman was like, no, I want to give birth to Sephiroth. So she let Hojo impregnate her to give birth to Sephiroth, who is the villain. So thanks a lot, Lucretia.
So did Hojo make her have sex with the dog? If he's gonna make Aerith have sex with the cat?
No, I think that he banged her and then like messed up the genetics of the kid and
so
gave it to
Hojo is
Nova.
Sephiroth's daddy?
I think so.
Oh.
Yeah. It's that Hojo's a whole lot of messed up. Oh, before we move on, we have to talk about abusive Sid. I want to know if they're going to make him as abusive as he was to his wife in the 7 remake. Because
are we going to talk about the 7 remake next, or are we just going in order?
We can talk about the 7 remake next, but I really want them to keep it because Sid treated her like dirt, and her name was like Shira, and like he would just call her like effing stupid and an effing bitch. And it's like,
this was the 90s.
This was the 90s.
Domestic abuse was
it
great.
was okay then. It wasn't that bad. That's why I want to know if they're going to keep it in for the remake. But the remake, let's talk about that, because we talked about the
kind of veers off of what
the original story is, because now we think that Zack might be alive,
and Jesse could be alive.
Jesse could be alive. The fat guy, Biggs
and Wedge could be alive.
Yeah.
Well, Wedge is the skinny one, right? They showed him.
Biggs is the skinny one, Wedge is the fat one.
They showed Biggs in that schoolhouse after everything fell, so he's still kicking. We don't know if the fat dude is, because he was chasing a cat when everything fell. So
that would be your luck.
I wouldn't chase a cat.
You'd be
like those creatures.
It'd be like a dog, though. You'd be like, "Come here!" You'd go, "Come here, Bella! Come here!" And boom.
If it were Finn, I'd go the other way. Because I have no choice.
I would have already had Finn out, so it's fine. I wouldn't be living in the slums.
I like the remake. I actually beat the remake part 1.
Well, I mean, it was literally just getting out of Midgar.
I know.
The max level was 50.
They made the whole game getting out of Midgar.
Yeah, the graphics are beautiful.
Yes.
But the whole game is just, let's escape Midgar. And then you don't even really get to play Red. He joins you, but he's just NPC.
I have a feeling that's how Sid is going to be in the part 2.
Probably. But if they go, I'm curious where they're going to end it, because I think that they're going to end this one when
she dies or someone dies.
Yes, like where it ended on the discs. So now,
I was going to say, you know how the whole dating thing was at the Golden Saucer?
Yes.
What if, however you play the game, determines who dies?
Well, I'm going to say that in that case, I hope that I go on a date with Aerith, because
she dies.
I don't care if she dies. Tifa, I want to live. Yuffie, I want to live. And Barrett, I want to live, as he is the only person of color in the game. Why in the 90s?
They made him a stereotype Mr. T in the 90s.
Yes.
Do you think they should have remade 7?
I do.
Or do you think there should have been a different one?
I think 7 was a good one to remake, because it's such a cult classic and everybody loves it and has fun memories. I'm not entirely sure either. I think that it might be because it was like the first one with like that type of 3D graphics, and like the story was very immersive and like sucked you in.
It was a good story, I have to say.
So 7, I am down with. I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, February. The end of February, March.
End of February.
I took time off so I could play it. Just
I also took time off so I could play it. Another thing that I really like about the remake and the original is they have one of my favorite villain groups, which is the Turks.
Elena's in this one.
She will be. So Elena, do you know how she joins, right? She just ends up joining in, like, after they get out of Midgar, it's when they're going through the cave, they find Elena, and she's the newest Turk. But my favorite Turk is Reno. He is my homeboy. And I don't care what anybody says, in my fantasy world, he is a homosexual, and he is my boyfriend.
Well, he's Rude's boyfriend.
Not in my fantasy. I'm Valentina. I didn't really like how they did the summon thing.
I thought that was stupid.
I didn't care for, you had to like do like the virtual fight against them. The weird part is I could play it and I would be perfectly fine. Then I would do that virtual fight and I'd get my ass handed to me. And I don't know why.
Do you know what part of 7 Remake I loved?
What?
Don Corneo's.
Are we talking about the Honeybee Inn?
Yes. Like the whole situation. I wish they would have shown like the part in the original where it's like this creepy sex cult.
Yes.
I wish they would have.
I think that they did a really good job with it because that was something that a lot of the fans were worried about was that the
oh my god, it was so fun. The whole like, performance, and it was so campy.
You had to do like a freaking Dance Dance Revolution thing.
But you know what? I didn't care.
It was so fun. And then like they actually made homosexuals be in it, which is great. The little honey boys. And then I love that because I was worried that they were going to change it so that Cloud wouldn't look.
See, this makes me really want to go play part 1 again.
I agree. It makes me want to play it. But I always enjoyed
I just wish they would have shown like that weird creepy part in the sex dungeon room. Like where you know what I'm talking about with.
Are we talking about where he wakes up and the guy's like on top of him, or are we talking about when you go look in the keyholes?
Look in the keyholes.
And you see how it's like a creepy sex dungeon. Yes. I remember that.
Or when he goes into like a bathhouse with a whole bunch of dudes.
Yeah. That was weirdly my favorite part.
Shocker.
I'm a homosexual.
Never would have guessed.
But I like when he wakes up and there's that big like burly guy just like slapping him trying to wake him up, and then like you get his panties or something.
Yes.
Such a good game.
That would have been great in the remake.
In the remake, I enjoyed where Aerith started beating the crap out of people with a chair.
Yes.
That's
funny. Where the meme of her beating Sephiroth with the chair comes in.
She should beat him up with a chair.
I still don't think she's going to be the one that dies.
If they don't kill anybody, I'm going to be really annoyed.
What if? Just what if?
Okay, Marvel, what if?
Sephiroth is coming down and his hair's all gliding like the whole 80s style, and he has his sword and is coming for Aerith, but Jessie jumps in.
Well, I don't care if she's dead because she's already dead to me.
What if he gets both of them as a double penetration?
Well, good for him. We'll just throw both of their dead bodies in the city of the ancients and move on. Long as my girls Yuffie and Tifa don't die, I am happy. I would like it if they would set it up though so that we could kick Cloud out so that I could use the 3 that I actually want to use.
I agree.
Yuffie and Tifa.
I hope that in part 2 they let you play. I doubt they will. It's going to be Cloud, but
right. But as long as they let you switch like what you could do in the other ones, like when soon as the fight starts, you'll switch over to who you want to control. I know, but it
would have been great if you could just run around.
I agree, because I just want to run around as Yuffie. I don't care if I have to run around as like anybody but Cloud.
So let's talk about the DLC with Yuffie.
Ooh, that was fun because they brought in Dirge of Cerberus, the characters from that. I feel bad for her because when it cracks me up because she gets there and she keeps like almost bumping into Cloud and them, but she doesn't. But then she has that one guy. What is his name?
Is it Sonon?
Sonon?
Something?
I don't know. But then she's like in love with him and then he dies.
That's sad.
Well, I mean, he wasn't in the original, so I'm okay with that.
Neither was Zach.
I enjoyed her DLC. I like the little side stories that it's introducing. I'm excited to see where they go with that as well.
I just like that they're kind of incorporating more to the story. Like they're changing stuff, but it's not... I guess it can be big changes, but I don't know yet. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. So we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to just give a few closing comments, and then
we'll talk about 8 through 56 next time. So how's it been reminiscing about your childhood?
You know, I really enjoy it. 7 is more so my childhood because the other ones I didn't play until I was older. So
it was nice kind of talking through 7. 7 is a good one. I just feel it's a little overrated for what it is.
Well, we definitely seem like we came more alive and like wanted to talk about them once we hit 7.
Yes.
So maybe deep down,
you know who didn't come alive? Aerith when Sephiroth killed her.
Yeah, because nobody wanted to throw Phoenix down on her because she was.
What if she was Kate Sith? What if he can't?
No.
But then Kate Sith comes back because he's a robot.
I don't want to see him hurt. We're already going to see him hurt at the Temple of the Ancients.
I know this, but what if that's what they do as a cop-out so no one dies?
I would rather she die. Anyway, I don't like her.
What did she ever do to you? Sell you a bad flower?
Probably. I just don't like Aerith. Maybe she's getting better in the remake. Maybe she's not as like
more in the remake than I do in the original.
Well, in the original, her whole thing was just, I'm an ancient.
Yeah. This one, she at least has personality.
She does have personality. I will give her that. And I did enjoy fighting with her in the Colosseum in the remake. So maybe I like the remake more than I thought I did. So
us just talking about it made you
realize it just was a moment where it was like,
look what Advent Children does.
Advent Children?
Yeah, because it kind of it's kind of like a future version of it, but not really. I don't know.
Well, they're going to have to redo Advent Children if they change it so she doesn't die. Right. And if she doesn't die, who's going to take over the live stream to make sure that Sephiroth doesn't destroy the world with meteor?
One of the people who dies of AIDS in that, because they're all dying of AIDS.
Are you talking about the geostigma thing?
Yes, it's AIDS.
So only the gays are dying? Is that what you're trying to imply?
No.
I think that's what you're trying to imply.
AIDS nowadays.
Nowadays. Not like when it first came out.
I know, unfortunately.
Everybody could still get it then.
I know.
Then why are you saying that like they couldn't? God, Dillon. Anyways, this has been a lot of fun. We will probably do this in the next couple of weeks to try to get through the remainder, at least 8 through like 14.
47.
8 through 16. We'll try to even go that far.
And then maybe a couple of the lesser branches.
Oh, I'm going to talk about the lesser branches when we get to it. Just like with 10, I'm going to talk about 10-2 when I'm talking about 10, because 10-2 I liked more.
Well, yeah, 10-2 was good. I have thoughts. So.
Girl power. Spice Girls. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Thank you for tuning in. You can follow us at Humble Narcissist across all platforms. Please like, follow, subscribe.
Leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the Final Fantasy games. Maybe Steven's wrong.
I mean, I'm probably wrong about a lot of stuff, but I don't feel like I'm that wrong. But we'll interact. You can give us your feedback. What do you think we're doing well? What do you think we need to improve on? And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Have a good one.